Hello once again, welcome to Mima's Crafts, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this beautiful ribbed crossbody bag here. So this is a very simple bag to crochet even if you're a crochet beginner. So this is our bag. Okay, and this is the inside of the bag. So let's see what we're going to need for us to crochet this bag. So for this bag, you're going to need yarn, and I used Macramé cord. This one is 3mm thick Macramé cord, and it is flat. And you can use any other type of yarn that you have. Just make sure that it is not too thick and that it corresponds to a 4mm crochet hook. You're also going to need a scissors, sewing needle, and thread to attach the magnetic clasp onto the bag. This handmade tag is optional. You're also going to need 3 stitch markers. You're also going to need a needle for attaching the sides. You're also going to need these rings for the handle. So let's begin. So I'm going to begin with a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 75. So I insert here, make a slip knot, and we chain 75. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to continue and come back with 75 chains. I now have 75 chains. So I'm going to add one more chain, which is going to be a turning chain, and this chain does not count as a stitch. So I now have 76. So if you turn your chains, you find that we have these back bars or back bumps. Okay, we're going to be inserting a hook through those. So the first 20 stitches we're going to crochet slip stitch. Okay, so I'm going to skip the first bump from the hook, this one, and then we're going to come into the second one, and then we're going to crochet slip stitch. Okay, so insert into the second bump, pick up a loop, and then for slip stitch you pull through again the loop on the hook. So that's my first slip stitch. Moving on into the next one, insert, pull through, and then pull through the loop on the hook. That's number 2. Move on into the next one, insert, pull through the loop on the hook. So we now have 3 slip stitches. This one's, let's do one more, the 4th one. So we now have 4 slip stitches. So I'm going to continue and come back with 20 slip stitches, and then we continue. So I now have 20 slip stitches, and I'm going to mark the 20th one. Okay, and in the next coming 17 stitches we're going to crochet single crochet, and this is single crochet in US terms and double crochet in UK terms. So we're still inserting in the back bar. Okay, so you turn, and then 1 single crochet, and then pull through into the next one, insert, pick up a loop, and then pull through again, set into the back bar, and then pull through. Okay, so we now have 1, 2, 3 single crochets. So I'm going to continue up until I have 17 single crochets. So we now have 17 single crochets from this point up to this point. So in the next stitch I'm going to put 1 single crochet, but we're going to mark it. So in the next stitch I'm going to work 1 single crochet, but this time we're going to mark it. Okay, like this. Again, in the next 17 stitches I'm going to put 1 single crochet. So in the next 1 single crochet, in the following 1 single crochet, in the next 1 single crochet. So I'm going to continue up until I have 17 single crochets, and then come back. We've done 17 single crochets from this point up to this point. In the next 20 stitches, which are the last stitches, we're going to put slip stitch. So just repeating what we did at the beginning. So we had slip stitch from the 1st to the 20th, and then we have single crochet from here for 17 stitches, and then we have this one, which is the middle stitch of the whole piece, and then again we have 17 single crochets. So we're going to finish off with slip stitch. So I'm going to put one slip stitch in each. So in the following stitch we put one slip stitch, and we're going to mark it, the first slip stitch of the last stitches, okay, like that. Then in the next stitches we put one slip stitch again. So you're going to continue one slip stitch all the way up to the end. So this is our first row, okay. Let's move on to the second row. Okay, so here at the end you're going to chain one, which is a turning chain, and then we're going to turn. Okay, so for the next 20 stitches we're going to crochet slip stitch, but this time we're inserting a hook in the back loop. So make sure you do not crochet into the turning chain, okay. So you begin in the first stitch. So we have the front and the back loop, okay, the front and the back. So I'm going to be inserting in the back loop, and then work one slip stitch in each stitch, okay, one slip stitch, one slip stitch, up until we reach the stitch marker. So here I'm at the stitch marker. I'm going to remove the stitch marker, and we're going to put another slip stitch, and make sure you put back the stitch marker. So here another slip stitch, and then we put back the stitch marker to mark this 20th stitch. So in the next coming 17 stitches I'm going to put one single crochet in each stitch, and we're inserting in the back loop. So pick up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, insert, pick up a loop, and over, pull through 2. Okay, so that's single crochet in each stitch in the back loop only. Okay, so let's do that up until we're here. Okay, so here we're now in this marked stitch. Okay, so I'm going to remove it, and we're going to put 3 single crochets in the same stitch. So that's 1, okay, again in the same stitch in the back loop, 2, and by doing this we are increasing the number of stitches with 2. So I'm going to mark the second one, which is the middle one of the 3, and then another one, 3. Okay, so we've put 3 stitches in this stitch, 1, 2, 3. So we've increased the total number of your stitches with 2, 1, 2. Okay, so in the next coming 17 stitches up until we reach this stitch marker, I'm going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. That's 1, and the next 1, and the next 1. Okay, so let's do that up until we're here. We've done 17 stitches. Okay, remember this is the middle stitch of the whole work. Now we're left with 20 stitches here. So just like we did at the beginning, I'm going to crochet slip stitch. So we're going to begin in the stitch that is marked, and then we'll put 1 slip stitch in each stitch in the back loop. So I'm going to mark again the first slip stitch, then we'll continue up until the row is done. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Let's meet here at the end. Okay, so here we're at the end, we chain 1, and then we turn. So this time we're not going to increase our stitches when we reach this point. So I'm going to crochet 20 slip stitches up to this point in the back loop. So this is now the third row that we're now working into. So that's 1 slip stitch, So I've worked 20 slip stitches, including the stitch that is marked, and then in the next 18 stitches. So they're not 17 because in the previous row we added one more stitch here. Okay. So remember, we're still inserting a hook in the back loop, and then work 1 single crochet in the next 18 stitches. Okay, so here we're now at the middle stitch. Okay, we worked 18 single crochets. So next, in the stitch, we're not going to increase in this row, so we're just going to put 1 single crochet in that middle stitch. This one, 1 single crochet, and then put back the stitch marker. And then in the next coming 18 stitches, we put 1 single crochet. 1. Okay, so here in the last 20 stitches, including the one that is marked, we put slip stitch in the back loop. Okay, up until we're here. Okay, so here I finished the 20 slip stitches here. So next, at the end of the third row, I'm going to chain 1, and then we're going to turn. So this next row, which is the 4th row, we're going to increase in the middle stitch. Okay, that is put 3 single crochets there. So again, we begin with 20 slip stitches, including this stitch marker in the back loop. Okay, next in the 18 stitches, I'm going to put 1 single crochet. Okay, up until we're in the stitch just before the stitch mark. 1 single crochet in each. Okay, so we've crocheted 18 stitches, 18 single crochets. So in this middle stitch, this row, we're going to increase. So in this row, in this middle stitch here, I'm going to put 3 single crochets. So that's 1, and then again 2, and then 3. So remember to put back the stitch marker in the middle stitch of the 3, okay? So 1 in this one, 2. So we're going to be alternating. The next row we're not going to increase, but the next one will increase. Okay, so this one, the 4th row, we have increased here. So the next one, the 5th row, we are not going to increase, and then the 6th row we're going to increase. So in the next coming 18 stitches, I'm going to put 1 single crochet. Okay, 1 single crochet up until we're in the stitch before the stitch marker, and then in the last 20 stitches we're going to put 1 slip stitch in each stitch up until the row is done. So we now have 4 rows. So you find that we've increased our stitches in row 2, and then in row 4, and then in row 1 and row 3 we did not increase, and we're increasing in the middle stitch, this one. Okay, and then from here up to here we have 20 slip stitches. From here up to here we have 20 slip stitches again. So we're going to maintain this number of stitches, and then we're going to repeat this. We're going to repeat the sequence that we were taking, and you find that when you increase your stitches, you're increasing the number of stitches from this point up to this point. Okay, so we're going to do, this one was row 4, so we're going to do row 5, row 6, row 7, and row 8. So the next row, which is row 5, we're not going to increase. And then row 6, we're going to increase. Row 7, we're not going to increase. And then row 8, we're going to increase. So let's do that and then come back. Welcome back. So we now have 8 rows. And if you count your stitches from here up to this point, we have 83 stitches. So we have 20 slip stitches. And then from here to this, just before the stitch marker, we have 21 single crochets, and then we have this 1 stitch, and then again from this point up to this point we have 21 single crochets, and then 20 slip stitches at the other end. So that gives us 83 stitches. So we're going to maintain this number of stitches. So that means we are no longer going to increase any stitches. So if you reach this point, you do not increase, you just continue, making sure that you still put back the stitch marker in that stitch. So let's just do one more row, the 9th row, and then we continue. So here I'm going to chain 1 and then 10. So the first 20 stitches, I'm going to put 1 slip stitch in each, just like we were doing before. So 1 slip stitch. So I'm going to continue and then come back at this point. So we're now at this point. So I've just did the last slip stitch here, and then I've put back the stitch marker. So next I'm going to put 1 single crochet in the next stitches up until I'm in this stitch. Okay, so let's just do 1 single crochet in each stitch, in the back loop, okay, so here we're now at the middle point. So in this stitch we said we're no longer increasing the number of stitches, rather we're going to maintain the same number of stitches. So when you reach this point, you're just going to put 1 single crochet like this, and then you put back the stitch marker. And then again you continue putting 1 single crochet in the following stitches. Okay. We continue putting 1 single crochets in each stitch up until you reach this stitch, and then here you put 1 slip stitch in the last 20 stitches. So we're going to do that and maintain 83 stitches. So I'm going to add more rows and then come back to show you the work, and then I'll tell you how many rows that I've added, appropriate rows for our bag. Welcome back. So from the 8th row to this point, I've added 23 rows. So it depends with the type of yarn that you're using. If you want to increase the size of your bag, you can keep on adding more rows here. So here, if you are to measure the width right now, it's 19.5 centimeters. So now we want to reduce the number of stitches that we have, so that this side is the same as this side. We achieve this curve here. So what we're going to do is make sure that your middle stitch is marked. So from this point to this point we have 20 stitches, and then here up to this point we have 21 plus this one, and then 21 again, and then 20 slip stitches here. Okay, so next, so we have a total of 83 stitches. So at the end here I'm going to chain 1 and then 10. So I'm going to continue with slip stitches up until I'm in this stitch. So we continue with the pattern, slip stitches in the back loop. Okay, like this, up until we're in the stitch. Okay, so we're now here, and this row that we're doing is row 32. Okay, beginning from here we are now working in the 32nd row. So next I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. Sorry, 1 single crochet in each stitch up until we are towards the stitch mark. Okay, in this stitch. Okay, so here we're left with this 1 stitch before we reach the stitch marker. So we want to crochet 3 together. Okay, so we're going to insert in this one, in this one, and then the one after the stitch marker, and then we're going to crochet those 3 together. That way we reduce the number of our stitches with 2. So I'm going to remove the stitch marker here. Okay, so I insert in the back loop and pick up a loop. In this one that was marked, pick up a loop. In the following, pick up a loop. So 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all the 4 stitches, and then we mark that one like this. And then I'm going to continue with 1 single crochet in the back loop in the following stitches. Okay, so that's how you use the number of stitches. So I'm going to continue with 1 single crochet in each stitch up until I'm in this stitch, and then 1 slip stitch in each of the last 20 stitches. So finish row 32. Now with row 33, we're not going to change the number of stitches. So I'm going to put slip stitches to this point, and then 1 single crochet in each stitch to this point. So with this row, we are not decreasing the number of stitches, so that means I'm just going to continue here and crochet 1 single crochet in each stitch. Make sure that in this middle stitch here, you just put 1 single crochet and then put back the stitch marker. So from here again, I continue with 1 single crochet in the back loop to this point, and then put 1 slip stitch up until row 33 is done. And then row 34, we're going to come back, and then we're going to decrease the number of stitches just like we did with row 32. So now we're going to begin crocheting row 34. So from this point to this point, we put slip stitch, and then from this point up until we are left with 1 stitch before this stitch mark up to this point, we're going to come and then we're going to decrease the number of stitches just like we did with row 32. So we're now working in row 34. We repeat what we did with row 32. So here we're going to decrease the number of stitches. So repeat what we did with row 32. I remove the stitch marker, pick up a loop, pick up a loop, do this one, pick up a loop, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all the 4 loops, and then put back the stitch marker. So again in the next stitch we put 1 single crochet. So we've reduced again or decreased the number of stitches by 2. So you find that from this point here up to this point we now have 19 stitches. So I want to keep on doing this up until we have 17 stitches, the number of stitches that we began with here. So this is row 34. So we're going to do row 35, but with row 35 we're not going to decrease. Row 35 you don't decrease, row 36 you decrease, row 37 you do not decrease, row 38 you decrease, and then you finish with row 39. Okay, so we're going to add 5 more rows from here, alternating. If you decrease this row, the next row you don't decrease. So let's do that and come back in the 39th row. Okay, so here we now have 39 rows, and if you count your stitches from this point up to this point, they should be the same as this side. So if you turn your back, you find that here we decreased our stitches 4 times. So that's 1 here, and then here, and then here, and then here. And then on this side we increased 4 times. That's this time, here, here, and then here. Okay, so now we've finished. We now want to join the sides. So we're going to use a tapestry needle. Okay, so we're going to join the back loop of this side and the front loop of this side. Okay, so we're now at the end here. So this is going to be the wrong side of the bag, so you can easily fasten off the yarn on this side. So I'm going to come again and join this side and then fasten off and then come back. So here we've joined the sides and we've fastened off all the ends. So this is going to be the wrong side, so we're going to turn our bag inside out. Okay, and then we're going to fold here. Okay, so next we're going to crochet the handle. So we're going to crochet the Romanian cord. So here I leave a tail to help us fasten it off later on, about 10 centimeters, and then we're going to chain 2. So that's our slip knot. So that's 1 and then 2. So I'm going to insert my hook into the second chain from the hook here, pick up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. Okay, so we have this loop here, okay, this one here. So if you turn, you're going to insert into that one loop, pick up a loop, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, and over, pull through. So you find that now we have these 2 back loops, small loops. This one's 1, 2. Okay, so you turn again and then you insert through both loops like this, pick up a loop, pull through both loops, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so you see that now from now on up until you finish, you have these 2 loops at the back. So you turn and then you insert your hook through those back loops, pick up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through. Okay, again you turn, insert, pick up a loop, and over, pull through 2. Okay, so you can see our cord is starting to increase in length. So I'm going to continue repeating. You turn, you insert here, and then pull through, yarn over, and then pull through up until my cord is about 1 meter long or more, depending on the length that you want your cord to be. So this is our handle, and if you want a longer handle, you can just keep on crocheting at the end here. So I'm going to cut and then fasten off these ends. So next I'm going to attach the handle onto the bag, and then we're going to put the magnetic clasp as well as the handmade tag. Welcome back. So this is our bag and it is done. It is beautiful and easy to crochet. So if you don't have this type of rings, you can attach the handle straight to the bag. You just use a needle and then attach the handle to the bag. Okay, so this is our bag. Thank you for watching Miriam's Crafts. Please do subscribe, like, and comment for more videos. Thank you.